Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. I'm Blaze, bringing you guys a game between No Tidehunter and Virtus Pro. This is going to be Game 2 in this best-of-3 series, with Virtus Pro starting off with a 1-point lead after an amazing game in just a few seconds ago. So I myself am joined by Vikramon, the co-caster. How's it going, man?
Hey, really good. That first game, honestly, did not go how I expected. I wasn't sure who would win, but I definitely didn't think that VP would just come out with such a killer instinct right from the beginning. And so No Tidehunter are going to have to change things up, and what do you think they have to do?
Well, it's definitely going to be about their early game presence. We've seen No Tidehunter go for some more lane-heavy type things, and like we were talking about before, they put a lot in stock of just Loda getting the farm and being able to accomplish a lot with it. But even in a free farm scenario, even going for that fast of Midas, when Virtus Pro drafts up that kind of a lineup, you can't put it all on the shoulders of one person. Suddenly, that one person is going to get negated and things like that. I could see some more unorthodox picks, maybe something that Virtus Pro isn't as accustomed to dealing with, like we talk about Silencer being one of those weird high utility picks that didn't get mentioned at all in the draft for bands picks or anything along those lines. So it could be something cool. But right off the bat, I was talking about a drafting style that Virtus Pro has, and I'm kind of want to reiterate on it right here. Every time they have first pick, they just ban out that core hero. With Fnatic, it's taking out the Nature's Prophet. With No Tide, it's taking out the Lone Druid. If they have second pick, they just pick it up for themselves and adapt their style just a little bit. Play their game and play it even better. So nice action here. Admiral Bulldog not going to connect with his Lone Druid this time around. It's very interesting style, but it's worked so far. So
VP are one of the few teams left, and they're one of maybe a handful of teams that still respect bans in the first phase. Because when you went down to 2 bans first phase, almost everybody stopped respect banning, because your respect ban was usually your third ban. And with 2 bans, it's like, there's too many heroes that are too good, and so we can't really respect ban anymore. But VP, they do it really frequently, and that's interesting to me. The one thing I wanted to say about No Tide in this game that you didn't touch on was, I wonder if they should put S4 on something a little more escapable. And I'm really thinking Quap, because he plays a great Quap, and it's going to be a lot harder for them to rotate people mid to kill Quap than it is to kill Magnus.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure early on in mid, and S4 is one that can handle the pressure pretty well, but he definitely needs to be set up with the right type of hero to do it. Magnus only has so much that he can accomplish, especially when you don't see those mad splitters coming on in. So that was a really good. Yeah, I think that's exactly right as far as trying to get something that's more active and able to respond to difficult situations, because Virtus Pro is putting the hurt on, and No Tide just needs to find windows of opportunity to play their style. And we do see these interesting picks coming out. Nyx Assassin and Nature's Prophet can be played a lot of different ways. Presumably, Admiral Bulldog will be running that Prophet on the off lane when he feels it's safe enough to do so, and then in the jungle otherwise. But this Nyx Assassin, a couple different ways you can run it. Most of the time, almost always, you see him run as a support. He's very high in lane utility and great control, but we were just talking about someone that can work very well in the mid lane, and going up against a Bat Rider as a Nyx Assassin, the mana burn's pretty effective, and more importantly, that Carapace will always be procced off when you're going up against a Bat. Just walk into the Firefly, no problem at all. So, do you think S4 mid on Nyx would be viable?
Yes, I totally think they're going to put... So far in the draft, it looks very much like they're going to put S4 mid on Nyx. Now, VP, I actually love the Magnus pick. A, because No Tide are going to be scared of the Magnus pick now. B, because it gives them versatility where they can pump fake. If the Nyx goes mid, they can just put Magnus mid, who is not nearly as disfavored against Nyx's Bat Rider is, because Nyx is actually quite good against Bat mid. But you can mana burn him quite a bit. You can just walk into the Firefly like Spike Carapace when you want to get a kill. It's just a great pick all around. But if they put the Magnus mid, it's a little harder of a situation for him. I think No Tide's draft so far, if it were a basketball game, and oh my god, Chen too, 2 things: defense and push. This gives them an enormous amount of push between the Nature's Prophet and the Chen, and it gives them so much defensive capability. VP in the first game came out swinging for the fences. They were going around the map, getting kills, getting player advantage. And Chen gives you an extra half a player anywhere. Nature's Prophet gives you an extra full player anywhere. No Tidehunter in this game are going to be all about being responsive, counter ganking, and then pushing off of that.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. That's how they're going to try to play here. But Airman getting his gyrocopter is going to kind of change things up a little bit here. I mean, it's just pretty much, we saw it in the last game, he knows that hero. He lives and breathes gyrocopter. And so in this scenario, he just gets a little bit of farm here and there, and he turns it into something amazing. He had so much presence in the last game. We were talking about, like, half his cooldowns were really, really splendid. And from there, just dishing out a lot of damage, even just using simple things like a Lincoln's on top of a Nightmare to get a very powerful rocket stun when the person tries to run, or using it to pop Lincolns on Roche. Just, he has so many different things that you can do with this hero long range, and so far Airman has been playing it to a T. So I think that's going to make their lane strong on bottom, and I just have to see where they're going to kind of proceed from here. Again, they are up against Ake on that Chen, and that is definitely a force to be reckoned with. He's very good at the micromanagement of that, and I think it can accomplish a lot if they're trying to zone out something like an offlane Magnus or something like that, but more likely, the situation would be something like the Bat in the jungle / offlane, and then the Magnus in the mid.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it's going to be. Something like a Bat Rider in a non-mid capacity, and then Magnus. And they've been out Jug because obviously gimmick push comp is an option for no Tide, but I smell fragile, like, defensive hard carry, actually. Maybe.
I would actually just debate that they want to go for a big spellcaster lockdown. Just go for something that relies on magic-based disables, and they don't want to have to draft up against that. The Bane's out of the pool, the Shadow Demon as well. When you don't have those two great supports that can handle heroes like Lifestealer, to a lesser extent Juggernaut during spin, when you don't have that kind of control, just take out the heroes that are able to escape from that. But we do see an interesting hard carry pick one way or another. That Alchemist is going to be picked up, and that might be changing up how Virtus.pro wants to run players per hero. This is a very interesting pick. Do you feel they have the lanes to support it? Generally, Alk runs with like a Shadow Demon or a Bane or something like that. What are they going to work with Alchemist to make this happen?
First of all, I like the Rubik pick from NTH. The fact that they were banning all Loda heroes did leave that option open, and Egom obviously last game had an amazing Rubik game. I mean, they have, honestly, the Gyro Alk Lesh is pretty solid. I mean, you can put down the homing missile, like you can lead with either the Alk stun or the Gyro stun, which gives you the free Leshrac stun. And Alk stun these days is like kind of ridiculous, honestly. It's not OP, but it's very, very, very strong, especially if you can land at AoE. And the big thing with Alchemist this game is no time don't have any passive magic immunity carries left. So that Alk stun, especially if he goes Shadow Blade, is going to land more often than not. But I don't know, I still smell something like a big Loda, like balls to the wall carry. But I could be totally wrong. I'm kind of sleep deprived, so I made so many bad calls last game that I'm like leery of saying that this game. But maybe a Void or something? I don't know.
No, I mean, No Timer, of course, are going to be looking for an opportunity to control the late game against the Gyrocopter Alchemist. That's easier said than done, so yeah, Void would fill that role. But I think they're still very, very afraid of that team fight. You talked about that yourself with the Magnus. I mean, if they get a good RP off and let Alchemist channel just charge up his Unstable Concoction for an extra 2.5 or 3.5 seconds with that RP or Splitter with Lockdown, suddenly you have this gigantic set of stun. I mean, it's ridiculous. When you add in the Split Earth, the Reverse Polarity, and a fully charged Concoction, that's insane amount of disable that could theoretically just completely screw Virtus.pro over. No Titan over with Virtus.pro's initiation. I mean, Nyx is great against counter-initiating AoE. I think that Carapace pickup is very, very strong, but it's still something that doesn't secure them in the mid-game team fights. So I think that they need a carry that can handle those team fights very, very effectively. And with Gyrocopter off the table, there's only so many that can do that. You're either going to rely on great RPs or something completely freaking different.
So I did say fragile, super hard carry. So even if I wasn't right about the Void, Spectre, I feel like close enough. I'm going to take credit for that one.
Sure. Okay, well, living with Loda, he's going to be running on this Spectre, and it could be amazing. Or it could be horrendous. I don't think there's an even ground. I don't think there's a middle ground Spectre game. It's either perfect, gets the farm he needs, accomplishes exactly his objectives, or he gets completely trounced. And I guess if we're talking about they really had to change something up and do something different for this game, it's going to be the fact that they want to change the pacing, and Spectre can accomplish that. Starting things off, it looks like they want to give him early Tranquil Boots with those double tangos and things along those lines, but Virtus Pro showed how aggressive they can be, how willing they are to try to focus somebody down. The one thing that is different about this circumstance is if a Batrider lassos in a Spectre who at least has a Vitality Booster and max dispersion, if not moving in towards a heart, it's not that big of a deal. It's not great, it's not the best way to start the team fight, but you don't have to immediately panic charge in to defend him and just get caught by an RP or concoction. So
That's true.
Later on, it could definitely work, but the problem is with Spectre, always getting out of that laning phase. It's very, very difficult.
Right. My concern with Spectre, I have a number of concerns, but I'm gonna run down some of the big ones. Her escape is, so she has Spectral Dagger, which is not gonna cut it against this team. You can't run from a Batrider with Spectral Dagger. And she has Haunt, so she can haunt away sometimes. Here's the problem. Every single hero on VP is incredibly dangerous. Sometimes you can, if a team has a Rubik or something, like a low-level Rubik, you could just haunt onto the Rubik every time you're in trouble and just walk away from him, because what's Rubik going to do by himself? But if you haunt even onto like a Leshrac, you're probably not doing that hot. Like, that's probably not something you're super happy with. So VP, if they focus Loda, I mean, he is going to be tanky if he gets farm, but I'm worried, because VP's draft looks really, really good to me. Like, really, really good. And No Tidehunter's draft looks... Every hero in it is good, but it's so unfocused. I mean, Chen and Prophet, pure push. Rubik and Nyx, like, ganky, team fighty, and then Spectre, super hard carry.
Yeah.
They can bring it together, and they have the skill and the ability to do so. But VP has an easier route. All they have to do is press R.
Presumably, yeah. Now, one thing I gotta say is I cannot really understand the laning setup for Virtus Pro right here, with KSI down on bottom with Alchemist in conjunction with the carry Gyrocopter Airman. I don't see what he's adding. I mean, I guess he's like a long disable. He's kind of playing like a Sven, but it's just so weird having him down here without picking up a single creep kill or even point of experience. He's sitting at 20 experience waiting for creeps to spawn, and right now there's just too good a positioning by these Trents, blocking out and making sure that it won't spawn even though it's not warded. So good movement by Admiral Bulldog and making sure if he can't pull, the lane will inevitably come to his aid, and that will be really, really nice for him. But for now, KSI not really getting too much out of this Alchemist pick.
Yeah, the old and tired Bulldog meme, of course, is that he only plays Lone Druid, but frankly, his Nature's Prophet is fantastic. His Bounty Hunter is really good, and he's been, without moving his hero basically at all, he's completely messed up this lane, because KSI was really hoping to stack some of these camps and pull them, and instead he got nothing. He will do a big dive.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get the concoction, and that's all he can do is throw a 120 damage nuke for harassment, but the only reason he's comfortable with that is NS's positioning here.
S4 doing a lot of damage to TMW in the mid.
In mid, I didn't even catch that out, but yeah, TMW is finding an opportunity on S4. Now he has to pop off this Carapace on the Shockwave, perfect timing, but instead going for the Impale and turning around. He does get the Carapace. He Carapaces the Shockwave and gets a kill for himself. He just could not see that coming. The timing of it was perfect. S4 had plenty of mana to work with, used the last bottle charge just to secure that he could win the right-click battle, and then as soon as he saw the Shockwave coming, reactively just throwing that damage right back in his face, and really nice start.
That's the S4 we were looking for. I mean, just completely outplayed, honestly. No offense to TFW, he's an amazing player, had a great game last game, but he got worked. Bulldog's dead, though.
Yeah, in a bad position here. He's going to try to TP on out, but not going to happen. NS gets that stun, no problem at all. And that's it. He's still moving the creeps, though. As much as he can. He's dead. He's like, okay, screw it. I'll just work with what I have. And he's going to mess up the creep wave, teleport right back down, and try to, gets 2 creeps of experience. So adding up a little bit here and there. And I guess as long as he's getting some experience, as long as he's doing okay in this lane, the fact that S4 is starting to dominate in mid is going to get better and better. He picked up a double damage rune, great rune in this situation, and with this level advantage he already has a Magnus, even getting another Shockwave off, it's going to be really hard for TMW to do anything in this lane, and Nyx in mid is all about steamrolling, all about finding a advantage early on, and then using that to gank early, and it's going to put pressure out on VP, which is going to accomplish a lot. Of course, it's going to maybe pick off a kill on a Leshrac here and there, and make sure that NS isn't nearly as tanky as he was last time around, but along with that, it's also going to give breathing room to Spectre, because it's playing kind of a 4 distract from 1 style, where that Nyx Assassin sets up and initiates fights that they don't really have much to deal with because of their level disadvantage, and from there, Spectre finds the items she needs.
Yeah. 2 quick notes about this mid matchup. One is that this is devolving into some fistful of tango shit. Like, TMW is constantly casting and canceling Shockwave to try to bait out these spiked carapaces. And secondly, S4 really, really, really needs room control. Because, I don't know if you noticed, but they lost Courier, and they don't have it for another full
shoot,
minute.
I did not catch that. That's really
but
good point.
He gets regen, so never mind, he's gonna be fine. And KSI in quite a bit of trouble from Bulldog, but Bulldog's just too slow to actually pursue this any further.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nyx needs these runes, or it's gonna be trouble, because they don't have a Courier.
Yeah, so we do see Santa popping off this Firefly, getting some good vision, just huge amount of daytime vision, looking for an opportunity on Bulldog, but they do impale! Holy crap, that impale! Oh my gosh, that's insane! Double impale through a skewer. I'm not sure if it's enough. The napalm's slowing a ton. Rocket Barrage doing a lot. It looks like Admiral Bulldog will fall anyways, but that impale, ridiculous.
When we put that in the Wodota clip, we just won't include the part where Bulldog dies anyway.
Yeah, no, that's insane. That, I haven't seen that, like, ever. That's pretty sweet. So, anyways. Nice attempt to make sure that Bulldog can survive. If he's surviving, he's farming, and that's great for him. But S4 just showing his skills with any type of hero, and trying to move in towards now level 6. He's got his Vendetta up and a regen rune to work with it. Up on top, Santa doing some damage to Ake. They do get the concoction, pretty long duration on Spectre, but here comes EGM to go for a telekinesis to pull him back in another direction. Kind of trying to bait it, but it's just going to be both teams walking away. And finally, the Dire Courier does come back up with boots, which I believe is what S4 has been waiting for quite some time.
I mean, I'm very tough to not have the boots for that situation, especially when you're trying to get rune control. He got lucky. I mean, he guessed properly for the bottom rune, and that helped him a lot. I figured out why Loda wants to play Spectre. He's going to enjoy Tranquil Boots while it lasts, because Spectre is the hero that's going to really suffer from Tranquil.
I can see it. Up on top, the tower actually gets dropped down to Spectre. Really nice for them. They don't have follow-up disables on the rather beefy Alchemist, but nevertheless, getting that last hit for Spectre is huge. Getting that opportunity. Now moving in towards the Drum of Endurance. Gonna be able to actually use a lot with those stats and be a little bit more durable, but in exchange, Airman gonna be able to finish off the tower down on bottom, and unfortunately, although it gives more room for Admiral Bulldog to find a little bit more creeps, it's not gonna give them much as far as an advantage going on into this mid-game, which Spectre is still gonna have some issues with.
Definitely. But I mean, honestly, Tranks for now, at least very, very good. Loda's getting good farm. He is building those drums. This hard support Alchemist is, I think, what we have to watch. If he gets good stuns, if this works out, it'll be good. And Soul Ring is definitely a good purchase if you're going to do this hard support Alchemist. But I'm still not super convinced. I don't know what you think, Blaze.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle, one way or another, and we'll see exactly if it's gonna work its way through, but I don't know. It's just really, really complex in those kind of situations. We do see Gyrocopter even farming up the neutrals here, pulling back the wave. Maybe.
Sorry, he takes a rank of Greed. So what? I honestly don't get what they're doing right now with KSI. I wonder if it's like sort of shifted as they've gone through the game, because I don't know about the Alk. Like, if he puts down Acid Spray and Nyx just walks into it with Carapace, like, that's a stun. If he's low on his Unstable Concoction timing, that could very well just stun him right into it.
Yeah,
and so he's going to have to play so carefully and so well to have any impact on this game. Like, he won't just have minimal impact. He'll have, like, negative impact.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very awkward for him. It's pretty much, I mean, sitting at level 4 right now, taking some greed. He wants to try to use an opportunity to farm up easy camps and such, but he's, at best, he's stealing from Santa, who's been farming this jungle for quite some time. And Santa will be able to get his lasso and his blink up in relatively good timing, but every creep KSI takes is going to delay that. And since he only has the Soul Ring himself, he's not finding great profit in this circumstance. So picking this up and doing very, very little with it, there's so many other heroes that could actually be adding utility while roaming around in this scenario.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye on it, because obviously they had a plan. We haven't quite... TMW is going to get picked up.
Yeah, pretty easy pick here. They're going to follow up with the Centaur Clap and everything else they need. Actually committing Spectre just to get a double kill here. He gets the first kill. It was just Alchemist being too low. He popped his Soul Ring, I believe. But either way, no, it would have been 30 seconds. No, never mind. But he dropped too low. He was in the jungle, and that was an accidental kill, double kill for the Spectre. That's crazy. He used the ulti to KS. Good timing from Loda to be able to accomplish that. That's rare. But being able to get the kill there on both counts just skyrocketed Spectre's position as far as GPM. Now at 405, he's got his drums and a 1k in the bank as well. So Loda is in a great spot. Very effective use of Haunt. And, of course, getting a little bit lucky with the KSI, who is now kind of turned into accidental feeder Alchemist.
Yeah, I really am... I mean, Virtus.pro are kind of following the same game plan as last time, where they say, Airman will get farm, Loda will get farm, and we'll win everything else. But they're not winning everything else. Not by a long shot, honestly. S4 is really taking, not command of the game, but he's done extremely well in everything he's participated in. KSI right now is a non-entity. He might grow into something later, but right now he is in farming-ish mode, because you do see the 3 acid spray that's basically a jungling build.
Yeah.
So he is going to do that. Maybe he'll build up some items that make him very, very useful. I mean, I still think Shadowblade will be good for him. I don't even know, honestly.
I think it still is a great item on him in general. Either Blink or Shadowblade will allow him to get a good concoction off. But in general, he's just going to need to get a lot more than just a Shadowblade if he's going to be relevant, because the Shadowblade timing is going to be very belated, and there's going to be plenty of time for supports to get their basic set of core items and then buy up sentries, gems, and dust, especially with Ake being very, very minimal as far as his cost. He gets arcanes and mech, and suddenly he is golden for pretty much the rest of the game. So in that circumstance, I don't think the Shadowblade will be all that effective, but I don't. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good item for him. He's still going to need to get something that gives him that kind of movement speed and burst and surprise, as well as providing some nice little passive stats. So it's a great item, but I don't think it'll be put to great effect, nor will the Alchemist for, like you said, a much later point in the game right now, especially since he's not getting that farm in the jungle. He's actually smoking up top.
What they'll do eventually, I just realized, is they're going to do YouTube special tactic, Alchemist, Acid Spray, Ancient Farming. So that'll get him some levels. And if he gets a couple more ranks of Goblin's Greed, Grievil's Greed, then honestly that'll get him a decent boost. That'll bring him back into this game, and we'll see what he builds based off of that.
But difficult. We do see TMW have that Invis Rune on the Nature's Prophet. He needs somebody else to come out with him, though. He has a reverse polarity, looking for anybody to transition on out, but now we do finally see that they are going to have the Batrider available as well. Not going to be able to get this teleport off. Going to try for it, but no chance at all.
But honestly, NTH could rotate, and they could punish this quite heavily. And the other thing is, NTH know about this Ancient situation. They just counter-warded this and put a ward so that they can't stack it against. That's really smart.
Haunt comes out to start things off. They want to put Loda in the front line of things. They want to actually put some damage in the flesh rack. NS should be able to land the stun, but first, S4 has that stun initiation of TMW, bursting him down hard. Loda does find a kill also on the flesh rack, using that maxed out Desolate for big burst damage, as well as a little bit of mobility boost from the Tranquil's drum and the Spectral Dagger. So good solo kill for him, and then the other two just get picked off very, very quickly.
Cool Spectre build, by the way. The Max Desolate first. A lot of people who I think are being overly negative about it are like, oh, never train Desolate, but it's been good for Loda this game. It's done a lot of damage. The other thing is, honestly, I think that teamfight win, or the reason they went 3-0 was all Ake. He perfectly chained together with Eggum, the telekinesis, 2 Centaur stuns in a row, and then Penance Chest of Faith. And Batrider was dead before doing a single thing.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have he's not high enough level to have the Penitence skilled up just yet. But
just Test of Faith.
Just those combos, though. I mean, 2 Centaur stuns is a very long time. I mean, those are split earths, effectively. 2-second stuns. You need the setup, but with the Rubik, you pretty much have that always available. And that's the strength of these two playing together. Same thing with the Shadow Demon or anything else.
Trouble for KSI.
Yeah, Haste Rune too, so he can pursue this to no end. KSI has a lot of movement speed, and oh my gosh, Courier could be easily picked off too, but with Batrider coming in, he does have that lasso, and S4 does not want a piece of that whatsoever.
Loda, the perfect kill steal there, by the way. Just sneaking that Spectral Dagger right in there.
Yep, fine.
Which is good. I mean, it's Spectre.
I mean, KSing is like a pro skill for Spectre, honestly. Like, if you can accomplish that, you've accomplished something really good. Nice dodge by Ake, keeping his creeps alive. That's one thing that Chens generally can't afford, is trying to farm those up over and over and over again, especially when your allies want to farm the jungle more than anything else. So Ake, finding those opportunities, gets plenty of mana back up for everyone involved, and then they can still keep on pursuing through. They'll at least live through another flat cannon, so.
For sure. I don't know. So Airman, for what? Jesus, wow. Now I know I'm tired. So Airman, for what it's worth, he's getting good farm still. He's moving towards his BKB, which I think is probably the correct item for him, right? I mean, there's a lot of magic that you have to be worried about on No Tide Hunter. Eventually, Spectre will be a problem, but for now, it's really Rubik, Niche's Prophet, Nick's Assassin especially could lock him down. And they are cleaning up this Ancient stack finally. Not going to the Alchemist, they are going to put it on Airman, which I think is the right move. I mean, they need to get more farm on him, honestly.
Yeah.
Loda has participated in so much. I mean, 402. 6 out of 7 teamfight participation, which is something you can do with Spectre due to the Haunt mechanic. Whereas Airman has what? 101?
Yeah, but one thing to keep in mind about that is if there are assists that he's not nearby, even if it puts an assist kill on the board, he does not benefit from the gold for that.
Sure.
So he has to get the kill, and so far he's done great with that, getting 2 kill steals, or actually, yeah, getting 2 kill steals, 1 solo kill, and then 1 accidental kill. It still adds up for a lot of gold for him. He's topping out at 439 GPM, and every item that you get on Spectre is far more valuable than on any other hero in the game. Compare that to Alchemist. Even if he gets a ton of gold gain all of a sudden, it's still those items are kind of hollow. A 6-slot Alchemist, nowhere near as effective. Now we do see Initiation TMW, Skewers on cooldown, he's completely dead. And Loda gets another kill. Loda finds another opportunity. Looking for more on KSI. Telekinesis, long way off though, so they're just going to go for this Impale, which I don't think can connect, especially not with that Flame Break coming on out.
Yeah. But honestly, that was big also. The Skewer came out, immediate response from Eggum. His Rubik play, I mean, he's been playing Rubik a lot for No Tide Hunter. Like, he's been Rubik in damn near every game they played lately. But you see that paying off. Like, it's really good to main a hero that's as good as Rubik and as consistently great. Because that lift was very, very well timed. They immediately killed TMW, and, I mean, VP had really no hope to take the fight from that point on.
So I'm seeing the Acid Spray used pretty effectively to counter push. Is it to try to delay the game? I don't think that's the best course of action up against a Spectre in general. We do see, oh my gosh, that Stable Concoction is going to be big. Oh, that damage coming on out from all of them. The Shockwave does get Carapace up. The Hand of God comes on through. TMW dropping too low. The Shockwave might close the distance, but call down in the mid. Airman doing enough damage to clean this up nicely. Very good opportunity. KSI closing in to get another stun onto Rubik. This should be his death as well. Boom, big damage going across.
Good TK, actually, but not quite enough. But Airman will fall, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like NS is going to drop down. Airman also in a bad spot.
No.
Almost has enough. He will trade 1-for-1 up against the Bulldog there. So really, really good fight for Virtus, bro. I mean, Loda took a little bit too long to come into the fray. He's just been wanting to farm up that Radiance, so was a bit reluctant to jump on into that. And that would have been a complete massacre if the Carapace hadn't come out from S4. So Virtus Pro was delayed a bit in that, but still, when you get that high of a charge on Concoction, grouping them together with the RP, that's a lot of damage, a lot of disable, and suddenly no more supports, really. So good fight for both sides. Who do you think came out on top, personally?
Honestly, I think, even though No Tide Hunter quote-unquote lost the fight, Airman dies, Loda doesn't, is another fight that pushes them further towards the brink. I mean, they're going to get to the point where... So Gyro can handle Spectre, I feel like, because if he pops something like BKB and has a Rapier up, for instance, like if it's 50 minutes in, he can maybe kill the Spectre before she destroys
Oh, good action from S4, negating the pull from Santa. That lasso is going to be ineffective, and now Rubik trying to do something, but too close to the action. Loda in the front, doing a lot of damage, but no Desolate procs. Closed up too much together. There's a big Concoction going across, and that might be enough for him. Test of Faith, pulling him back. Spectre's going to get out of here alive, and can't say the same about TMW. Pulling him on out, and that is another favorable exchange for No Tide. They're really, really controlling this nicely. You look at the golden XP, and we see that they have a 2k gold advantage and a 5,500 plus experience. So they are in the lead, and they have the late game. If they can just keep things going, status quo, even exchanges, all that good stuff, Loda's going to get big. With this 18-minute Radiance, it's just going to be insane.
It is, and when he continues to get tankier and tankier on top of that, I mean, even if Airman has a ton of damage, if he blows up his entire team in the process, it's going to be difficult. And I just, with the Alchemist, like, that one big unstable Concoction plus RP was great. So, why not go heavy unstable Concoction, I feel like? If he had just been in a position where he could have gotten more XP, a big level 4 unstable Concoction is just going to damn near wipe the team, except for Spectre.
Yeah. I think he wanted to negate a little bit of the push from Nature's Prophet and Chen. They don't have tower damage, they just have big HP bars on their creeps, so you take down the Trents, you take down the controlled neutrals, and suddenly you have a lot of counter push. It's kind of like
Airman.
Okay, you have like kind of a pseudo keeper light. We do see a lot of damage coming in. S4 and EGM about to finish him off, no problem. Admiral Bulldog there to make sure of it. So good pick off there, finding an opportunity, and that's S4 with that Blink Dagger just continues to be relentless in what he puts out. So very, very effective.
Exactly. I mean, he's making the plays. It's what we expected from him. I said at the beginning, watch S4, and it's back to the no Tide Hunter that we know that's been on a winning streak. This Nyx is everywhere.
Yeah.
2-0-8, Blink Dagger, which is a fantastic item when you're using mid Nyx. I mean, he's just in charge, honestly.
So, yeah, back to the point I was trying to make before that exchange. Actually, it looks like TMW's in the weirdest position ever. Tries to skewer on out, and he does actually try to TP. No way that's happening. Now, big damage coming out on NS. That Radiance is up as well. So Loda gets a kill, EGM gets a double, and now cleaning it up. Holy crap, I didn't see up on top.
It's the Haunt, yeah.
Holy crap, that Haunt damage. He's everywhere. That's the thing. You can't really keep track of him because Loda is hitting everybody at once, and if he finds these opportunities to get these kills, no problem at all. He has the movement speed advantage. We've already been over that. Now looking for a tower solo kill, and there's only so much that Airman can do. Has Dominator, so lifesteal will work, but I mean, he's still taking Radiance damage constantly, and I believe that Loda has the sustain to win this war of attrition. But
oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to plead fatigue, but I just figured out what the point of the Spectre was, and it took me so long.
What?
Haunt on top of them as a team fight begins, and Batrider and Magnus can't blink.
Oh yeah, definitely. Whether that's through dispersion from him just taking one piece of damage, or through the Blink Dagger, through the Radiance ticking away very quickly. It's a great, great anti-initiation mechanic, and yeah, it's very, very nice. The Haunt without Radiance works that way. Haunt, the Spectre with Radiance without Haunt, and the dispersion. It's just he has so many AoE damage spells. They just do a little pinprick of damage over time, but it makes sure that you cannot use those kind of initiation tools. And with a blink on the bat, blink not available on Magnus yet. Either way, it's not going to be what they need to start up the fight. So I think it's really, really cool. And along with that, I kind of feel just kind of getting into their heads in that last kind of transitioning from game 1 to game 2. They're like, okay, Loda's talking to Steam. He's like, okay, well, I got tons of farm. They let me farm like crazy, but I didn't have impact in the game. Okay, what carry will do that and also negate all this crazy initiation? Oh, you know, one of the best hard carries in the game. So S4 with double damage, running in with Vendetta, has that blink, finding them out, and they don't detect this. Going in, gets the stun to start things off, doesn't pick off the courier with a Vendetta yet, though. TMW trying to get that RP off, but dropping so low. Bat Lasso onto EGM, dropping all the supports very, very quickly. It's going to have to be Loda versus 5 here, but those 5 are so low HP, just bringing things down quickly. It looks like TMW and Santo will have to split up.
Santa's dead.
Easy picks. He's going to be able to pursue, and it should be enough just from the Radiance alone. He can't get away now. It's good pursuit from Loda.
He just walks into the tower to kill him, to get just with the dispersion damage.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. He can do whatever he wants. This is a big Spectre. He's 11-0. Yasha gonna build into Manta. He can build whatever the heck he wants after that. And our VP checkmated Blaze. What do they have to do?
Well, they need to go back in time and make this Alchemist pick worth it, in my opinion. Like, they have a Blade Mail on him. That's kind of cool for the incidental damage from Spectre, and I don't know. It's just... Airman is in an okay spot. He does have that BKB and lifesteal, like you were talking about, but he needs big damage. He needs to rush a huge, huge amount of single-target right-click damage, and you know what that means. But, other than that, they are lacking on initiation for Magnus. Team W just has to be in the right place at the right time. Stop relying on those kind of pseudo-blink initiations and just go for a skewer RP. They don't have much to stop that, as long as he doesn't get super, like, Matrix impaled by S4. Then I think he can go for some really, really good initiations, but the RP there was pretty much irrelevant from his HP.
He only hit 1.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if it had been a little better placed, but honestly, No Tide Hunter was splitting up really, really well. They're playing really well this game, and when they have S4 as that anchor, it just lifts the entire rest of the team up. They're all great players, but it's just with any team, you sort of have a dynamic around, you know, a certain way that you start fights, a certain way that you set things up. And for No Tide, it's those big impales, and in this game, it's those big CCs from Nyx Assassin.
Yeah. So Spectre moving in towards Manta style very quickly, not even 900 gold away from that. S4 always willing to be in the action. One thing that I gotta say is so important, they don't have any sentries. If they knew that S4 was scouting them out every single second and knowing right the perfect time to initiate, then they would be preventing things like this. But instead, Loda gets another kill, starts off a nice team fight, can follow on through with big damage, gets concoction, but what of that? That doesn't matter to him. It's like pretty much all they can do is hope to disengage, but when S4 finds the opening to start things off every time, they'll at least get 1 kill, if not all 5. And it's all about the fact that No Tide Hunter has eyes on VP when that is not the other way around.
They do have some sentries up. They've got one up in the middle here. They've got the high ground sentry here. But I mean, it's tough. The thing about Nyx Assassin is like, he's just so mobile, and you do need the detection, but you also need to deal with the Spectre, and they're just putting a lot of things on VP's plate. And obviously the biggest one is the Spectre, but then the Nyx Assassin just picks you off everywhere on the map. So he got this Vitality booster. Do you think it's just casual, or are we going to see Atos?
I've got to say that it's a little bit of both. I mean, I don't think he really cares if he picks up an Atos or anything like that, but just getting a little bit of extra tank, maybe get a second Carapace off, that's all he needs to do. But yeah, I think you go
start on S4.
Yeah, they actually pull in S4, so they get Santo jumping him on in, but without a Force Staff, it's going to be a little bit negated. Big RP on 2. They do negate Loda for a moment, trying to get RP onto everybody else. Big damage coming out. Huge counter initiation, all pulled out. Oh my gosh, that was insane. EGM just setting it up so they can do all the damage they want to, running into enemy base. He's like, I got an Aegis, screw this. Picking off. One thing to mention, he hasn't even used Haunt. He didn't have to use Haunt because of the EGM's initiation.
And he's alive. He still has the Aegis.
He might as well just suicide it now. Like, holy crap.
No, man. He's got to do more damage. Alright, he does suicide.
Like, the fact that they didn't have to Haunt that because of EGM's counter RP is ridiculous. Like, 2-man RP on a Spectre who's not going to die, turn that into a 3-man RP on everybody else. The supports just drop so quickly. Fall by the wayside, and now they can go in for the push on tier 2 with that Haunt up. With Haunt up, there just is no contest. The Vladimir's available as well, for what that's worth. We do see a pick off onto NS because S4, always setting those things up, has that blink initiation. Now jumping onto Gyrocopter, he's dead as well, and they might as well call it here because it is over 100%.
Painful to watch at this point. It's just a massacre.
Blade Mail. Oh, he gets it. He kills the super hard carry, buyback instant, and has the Haunt to jump on in if he feels like it.
Big plays. Big Blade Mail plays. Now all they need is Blade Mail on the other 4 heroes, and maybe they have a shot.
Yeah, maybe. There we go. So Haunt goes across. He's waiting for the last second, finding opportunity TMW, and quick pick off, no problem at all. Big blink coming in from S4, almost bringing on KSI, but not going to cut it yet. The Radiance didn't stay long enough. Loda fell back to just pick off some easy towers.
This is cruel. It's cruel, Blaze. It's not even nice. No Tide. I mean, first game looked a little shaky, but honestly I didn't immediately see how this draft came together, but. Wow. Generates space for Loda. S4 gets hype, gets tons of ganks. Loda kill steals. I shouldn't call it a kill steal, like a kill rightful heir. Kill rightfully claims his birthright on every single kill across the map. And all of a sudden, he's just huge.
Nice. Yeah. That is exactly the story told here. I mean, he's sitting at 1700 HP. He does a crazy amount of damage. It's all AoE, and from there, there's just really nothing they can do to directly contest him. They do get a pull off Santa, but he immediately gets stunned on out. RP still up on EGM, gets it off onto TMW, and Airman, there is the true rightful RP, but it's not going to do enough here. The mechanism comes on out. Hand of God not available yet, but they turn around Gyrocopter to drop down first, and Loda to just try to clean things up. They cannot walk back into this, or they're going to lose all their life.
I mean, they can't do anything, honestly. They've been completely constricted. They can't go near the Spectre, and the Spectre is inside their base, which means they can't go near their base, which means, I don't know, Boots of Travel somewhere and try to hide in the trees until the game is over? Like, you don't have a lot of options.
In before getting haunted in the trees.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can't even escape there. But, that's just bleak, man.
Yeah, as far as the lineups, I think that this really hinged on one person, and that was S4. All he needed to do was play his style to dominate and control things, initiate and set his team up for success, control things completely, and that's exactly what he did to a T. He played his style perfectly, and that set it up so Spectre could do something.
Oh, no. Spectre, no. This is so mean.
Yeah. I mean, they could do whatever. It doesn't even matter. But yeah, no, if S4 had just theoretically lost the lane versus the Magnus, it's more difficult because the Shockwave is generally going to be Carapace, but if there was good roaming from VP, if they put the same pressure out in Game 2 on mid lane as they did in Game 1, and were able to get a couple kills onto Nyx, put him on the back foot, he gets RP'd once and suddenly he's level 5 against level 8 Magnus. Those kind of things, and then he's scared to go in the enemy jungle because they have tons of gold for the supports to sentry the heck out of everything and eventually get a gem on an alchemist that was able to farm the jungle. Just if everything went right for VP and S4 wasn't there to shut them down, then suddenly this game would be different. Spectre would be on the back foot. He wouldn't be like 10-0, he would be like I mean, it would be the opposite. It'd be a 0-10 Spectre. What I said before is very black and white with Spectre. He either has an incredible game or a terrible game.
But sure. I get what you're getting at, but it's pretty purple, actually. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're totally right. But we talked a lot about the Alchemist, and he only died 5 times. But take a look at the Magnus. I mean, Boże moi, right? 0-12, and no Tidehunter literally flipped the script on Virtus.pro. Because in the first game, VP completely shut down the Magnus mid and make him a non-factor, and he never gets Blink. That's exactly what happened this time to Tame My Wild. And I mean, poor guy sort of falling into the Magnus trap in this series. Just, both teams effectively shutting down Magnus, and since Magnus was the linchpin of both teams' plans to win team fights, they don't really have a backup.
Yeah.
And in this case, Spectre, I mean, we can't say enough about the Spectre. That was a huge friggin' Spectre.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare that GPM, you see 691. I mean, he'd be happy with like 550, but getting that insanely farmed, just go for it, man. And yeah, the Alchemist. And one thing, you mentioned the KDA, but I gotta say, at least TMW is trying to participate actively. KSI wanted to. He threw out concoctions here and there. It helped out a lot, but in general, the impact that he had on the game, you called him a non-entity very early on, and I don't think that really shifted out of that position. He was still shut down very hardcore. I mean, he killed Spectre once through Blade Mail after he had already acquired his full core item set. So,
wow, when you put it that way, I sound really mean. I didn't mean to call him a non-entity. Goodness gracious.
But no, I mean, honestly, I mean, when we pick up Alchemist, at the very least, he wasn't able to support the lane the way he needed to. I mean, Admiral Bulldog did all right, 6-4-14. And from there, yeah, Alchemist just didn't make the impact. So unfortunately, this doesn't work out for Virtus.pro, but that's okay for them because they did win Game 1. They're going to be able to go on to Game 3 and see who's going to seal the deal in this best-of-3 series. We've been kind of doing this post-match dialogue a little bit too long, so we're going to move right on into the next one. Real quick, you want to plug your stream?
Sure. Vikramond, VYK, ROMOD, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Let's go to the next game. Sorry about that.
Cool.